Well, good morning from the Appalachian Outfeed. This is the Tuesday after Christmas. Also the Tuesday after we're having us a pretty good set of storms come through, mainly really cold weather with some kind of high winds. And as expected, those high winds took down a tree back here in the back of the property. This whole cluster of trees we're going to be looking at today, we've been watching for a while, trying to decide which ones to take down, which ones to leave. Eventually they're all coming down because they're all starting to die and rot. Some of them already dead and rotten. And therein lies the problem. So honestly, this is about the most dicey cutting I've ever done. These are standing dead trees with varying stages of rot. So you get into an issue of you don't have good holding wood, so it's hard to direct which way they're falling and when they're going to fall because you don't know what you're cutting into. But you do know what you're cutting into is kind of weak wood, which is not a good thing. To add to that, the tops of them, they started rotting from dying and rotting from the tops down. So you've got a hazard of stuff dropping on you from up high. So all in all, just really, like I say, dicey. We've got a couple of hard leaning trees in here, which I'm not too excited about that either, but at least that lessens the chance of something dropping on my head from up top. It's just a little bit tougher to know when they're going to let go. So I came out here with the intention of cutting several of them. We'll see how the easy ones go and then we'll take it from that. So just to say what we're talking about here, that tree there is the one that fell during the storm. Didn't see it fall, don't know when it went, but let me show you the stump here so you can get an idea what we're working with as far as wood. See, that thing's rotten from the inside out. I think we're going to work on where'd that tree go? That tree right there first, because it's kind of leaning and you can see how dead it is up top. It's a small tree, so we're going to use a small saw. Gonna put a small face cut in this thing. Small face cut, because again, not a lot of good holding wood on there. And I don't know that, I think gravity's gonna take it in the direction of lean, mostly anyway. Not gonna be able to steer it a whole lot. And then bore cut it. And then hopefully the back will hold a little bit and I can pop that trigger and let her go in a somewhat controlled manner. And then we get that one on the ground and we'll take a look at what we've got left, some other trees that are already cut. Going to buck all this stuff up for firewood. I hope it's going to burn okay. It's really a lot more dead and punky than I had hoped. I'll know more once we get actually cutting into it when we buck it up. I did just grab a piece of this dead tree and fibers are holding pretty good up toward the top end of it. So maybe this stuff will burn okay. We sure need it because this cold snap really caused us to chew through the wood supply. And so if this works out to be burnable, it'll be a blessing. So we're gonna get set up on this tree and stop talking and start cutting. that went better than expected. What I was looking at on the front side of the wood was there were a couple some kind of animal nest, just holes burrowed in a tree. So I had to get above all that to try to get in some good wood. And turns out I did find some surprisingly good wood. Don't really know what happened to my hinge wood. Well, the hinge wood went with the tree, so that wasn't too bad. It fell while I was trying to aim it. I was trying to keep it out of that mess over there. It's in a clear spot now to where I can get to it and buck it up and cut it up without too much drama. So, man, my little MS 170 here did a really good job. It always does. I grabbed this saw a lot. Best 200 bucks I've spent chainsaw wise. Really do a lot of work with this thing. Anytime I can get a smaller saw and do the job rather than a bigger saw, that's what I want to do. And this thing, really lightweight, but it cuts it's cut a lot of wood, so pretty happy about that. All right, let's find us another tree. So another one of the challenges we got out here is the terrain itself. I'm down in a ravine, sticker bushes everywhere, and the ground itself goes from very rocky to mushy and wet within 6 inches. If you're not standing on a rock, you're ankle deep in mud, all of which translates into it's hard to get out of the way once the tree starts to go. It's tough to move. So I've got this one over here, again, dead, co-dominant leaders on this thing. So I'm going to take the easy one first, and I'll go get my bigger saw and do the second one. Could try to fall it all in one go with the main leader, with the big saw, but again, because I can't move and scoot, we're going to kind of piece this thing out. So stand by, we'll see how this thing works out. This thing is a mess. All these trees are. It's part of the reason we're trying to take them out. Alright, so we're going to file that one under. All's well that ends well, but not necessarily due to any skill. Did the same thing on that one I did on the first one, which is did my bore cut first and then try to come in and put my face cut in and then just kiss the back of it and let that trigger go on the back, that last holding plate of wood. The problem was my bore cut, because I was all jacked up with the saw, my bore cut got a little cattywampus. Didn't have a whole lot of room for a hinge, which again, I wasn't going to put a big one in there anyway, face cut. But the far side of the bore cut kind of got into where I was putting my face in. So you could tell it went pretty quick. But again, for stuff like this, these hard leaners that are particularly dead, I think the bore cut's pretty legit, pretty good way to go, and potentially saves you a lot of grief. So I'm gonna get the bigger saw now, and we're gonna see if we can figure this other one out. Okay, so I got the big saw, got it cleaned up a little bit around there where I got a little bit of room to move. Kind of got a plan in place. Got about this much of that leader that I just cut off still sticking up. I'm going to cut that off. Then I'm going to come in with a face cut, and then I'm just going to kind of chase that. I don't think I'm going to bore cut this one. It seems like it's pretty good wood down on the base. So just going to put a face cut in the front, again a small one. And we're going to go with the lean, because the lean's going in a good direction relative to where I've got to stand. And then we're going to put the back cut in and see how she does. Got high hopes. We'll see. All right, pretty happy with that. That face cut got a little gnarly, wasn't as pretty as I would have liked, but we got it in there. Had a little Dutchman in there, had to clean that up. I switched to the smaller saw because I was so off balance, and so out of whack with that bigger saw. The smaller saw made more sense. Put that face to clean that face cut with. And I don't know if you saw on the back cut, the saw pulled me in a couple times because my footing was so horrible. But decent hinge wood on that. Again, it dropped right where I wanted it to. I like the way it jumped off the stump. So that's pretty good. For as dead as these trees are, the wood's pretty strong, so that is a great bonus. Haven't hit any big holes or cavities yet, which is what I'm trying to avoid. One of the reasons I'm going ahead and taking these down before they get any worse, just so that we can be working with better wood than deader wood. And then somewhere, man, I hate this key fob on the truck. I got nothing else in my pocket, and yet the thing kicks on. I don't know when the little panic button went off. I bought me some new earplugs the other day, and it's supposed to be really good noise reduction, and they actually work pretty well. I didn't hear the truck until the tree came off the stump, so I don't know how long it had been going. So that was just no cost to you guys, just a little bit of added spice. All right, let me turn this camera off and figure out my next move. Okay, so we're back. You know, there are a lot of guys that get out in the woods, man, and they just run from one tree to another, just whacking it down and just going at it. I'm not one of those guys. I spent the last several minutes studying on this tree right here. You can see how dead that thing is up top. The more you get down though, the more bark it has on it. Some of that bark peels off by hand. Some of it's intact pretty well. Again, I don't know if the camera's showing this, but it's got a pretty hard lean in that direction. And again, we're going to follow this thing with the lean using the bore cut. So I'm gonna back you guys up so y'all can get the whole picture. And so this is another co-dominant leader. I could try to cut them both at the base at one time, but they kind of got two different leans going on. So I'm going to go ahead and take the big one first, and that'll give me access to that smaller one in the back. And once I get the big one off, we'll figure out exactly what, if anything, we're doing with that other one. Probably same deal. Yep. Try to drop in the same general direction as the first one. We're on such a hill. I'm gonna have to work a little bit to get this tripod set up just right. Bear with me. There we go. I think that'll get us. Okay, and again, I don't know if it really does it justice, but it's what we got. So we'll get in there and see how she goes. So that went about as good as it was going to go. I don't know why I couldn't get the tip to bore in. It kept, I don't know, part of it I was kind of, again, hinked up, having to hold the saw up really high. I couldn't get a good leverage on it. So after a few times of not being able to get the bore cut in, went ahead and just cut it with a back cut, which worked out okay. Again, good wood on the whole tree, and yeah, pretty happy with all that. So I think we're done cutting or felling trees for the day, and I think it's time to start bucking all this up. So the fun part's over, scary part's over. Man, I tell you, looking at these trees, so hard to tell which ones are really dead and which ones are fake dead. In the summertime, ones that you think would be dead, they come out. And I'm trying not to cut any live trees necessarily, but I think what we're going to end up doing is planting some apple trees through here. So all these guys are on their way out. So it's just a question of time. But again, not a big fan of cutting live trees if I don't have to. So we're going to start with bucking up the one that started all this mess, the one that fell over, got blown over. We'll get it limbed and then start bucking it to length and start working on these other ones. That last one I dropped is going to be easy to get to. The two down in the ravine, not so much, but we'll get busy and get after it.